Good good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Huskers Happy Hour, or as we're rebranding it for our love of professional wrestling. That's right, the Triple H. Get used to seeing that. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm actually kind of in a laughy mood right now because before the show started, I don't know how many of you have ever seen Euro Trip. It was supposedly, one of those sequels, but not really a sequel to the movie Road Trip. Only it was even funnier, I think. If you've never seen Euro Trip, I will tell you, give it the first 10, 15 minutes. And I think once you see Matt Damon perform as a punk singer and what he sings and who, you'll be sold. And also they're falling in with the two main characters falling in with some Manchester United hooligans and going to France is pretty worthwhile too. And great time, great movie. If you have seen it, let me know. Let's see what everybody's doing tonight. The first to log in, I kind of threw a curve because I didn't get it. I didn't get it popped onto the YouTube live until the announcement until midday today. Usually I try to do it like the day before at some point, but it's some confusion here. Fred Sacco at 12:54 p.m. says first and invites Justin Rogge to suck it. Once again, there we go with the Triple H, huh? Bang, bang, suck it. And then Justin comes in at 1:36 p.m. and says he's first. And Highlander Gunn just rolls with it, decides he's second. I don't know if they're just ignoring Fred or what, but Fred rolls with it. And Rob to first again. Someone must have told Holgerson I don't block well on the perimeter. And I want to tell you, it's like, notice Holgerson is misspelled there. I don't call that out to make fun of Fred. I call that out to make fun of me because I wrote the article that we actually had him. Well, first, the one where he's hired as a consultant, and then the one the next week where he's taking over the play calling. And I spelled Holgerson that way through the entire article, and it's Holgorsen, like Gorsen. And that, I think the article sat up there for about 15, 20 minutes before I realized, oh, Jesus Christ, I spelled the guy's name wrong. And everything from the headline throughout the article, so I had to spend some time going in there correcting everything. So yeah, Holgerson, between Holgerson and Kalkmanis, the Rutgers quarterback, I think I'm done typing Kalkmanis for the year. Holgerson I'm going to be dealing with hopefully for a while, but and then my hands started failing me yet again as I started typing it as Hologorsen. Like hologram Holgerson or whatever. So anyway, Pit Snipe Husker is here with us. How's Tricks? Justin, howdy, good people. I'm glad to hear you. I'm not a pat myself on the back guy, but the one thing you do is when you write and you make stuff, and I'm sitting here talking without hearing anything coming back, you just kind of hope it's funny. And I find the best way if I think something's funny or good, like if I make myself happy or laugh or go, you know what, that kind of has a jump. That's basically, other than maybe running some things by a few friends, that's basically all I've got. So I guess the fact that some people keep coming back, it must not be too offended by everyone, by any of it. Gavin Robinson, go Big Red, everyone. Thanks for joining in, Gavin. Let's see. Justin says, it was me, Fred, I told him. I saw Fred up there first, but you know what? I'm going to let you. All I've got is timestamps. You guys have fun fighting it out. Let's see. Aaron Kane is here with us. You're not that. Come on, man. Aaron, it's 8:01. We'll forgive you this time. I guess, what does I get? We've been going about 5 minutes now. You typed in at 8:01. That's not super late, although it's unacceptable to Pitt. Pitt, I wanted to tell you, when I'm just doing stuff around the house, I want to have something going on in the background, cooking, cleaning, whatever. And I just threw Battleship on again, and every time I do, I think of the rage. It's enjoyable as ever. See who else we got. Living in Omaha, David Matney here. Hi back at you, David. A lot of people saying hi to each other. We're a very friendly bunch. Pitt says, this is the crowd that probably liked old school History Channel. So Wyatt Earp and the Cowboy War on Netflix has that sort of vibe. Ed Harris narrates, and it is excellent. Okay, thank you. I've seen that popping up, and I haven't watched it yet. And I keep meaning to bug somebody's see if anyone's seen it yet. So I'm glad I got a good review. I probably would have watched it anyway, but I always like to hear that it's got a good review before I dive in. Let's see. Fred, hi everyone. Yeah, I kept getting it wrong too. Not a problem. Like I said, it because it's not Calipmanis, it's Caliac Manis and Aiden, and I don't think I was writing quite as much. No, I did. I didn't write about in the last year because he was playing for Minnesota, and I was often in Durango hiking with my son Drew, who you'll see on here is Mustang and some numbers. I'm not sure what the numbers mean, but I'm not going to ask her. He might explain it. And so we found this wonderful bar to watch the game because Fox was fighting with DirecTV, and so the DirecTV bars didn't have college football, and it was basically like an NFL fight, but DirecTV was dumping like the Fox football or whatever. And so then we went to a bar that had that, but then the other TV with ESPN just has hey, due to our whatever, and they was one of the other cable or dish providers, not Direct and not Dish. I'd know it if I heard it again, but so here was ESPN off, so we really couldn't get scores. But we find this bar with just like two TVs, just a bar, not a sports bar. But he said, yeah, you can watch all night. By the way, there's trivia in here tonight, and it was drag queen trivia. I'll try to dig the picture up for last year, and it was just an absolute hoot. Listening to drag queen, and it's just it's like normal customers. It wasn't the whole place in drag or anything, but you had the guy in dress. He had to be like 6'3". You had like a cowboy dude running around in the assless chaps, and it was just the wild, goofy shit you want to run into on vacation. And then I inserted myself in the middle of it because we got a stop on D. 13:10. Everybody got stops on D, but we got one, and she had just asked the question, and she'd just given the answer to the question to everybody right as this play was made. So without knowing the timing involved, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, and the place kind of goes quiet, and she looks over, and I look up, and I'm like, oh shit. And she just goes, well, I'm glad you're excited. And then everybody started laughing, so it was fun. But yeah, fun night. Let's see what else we got here. Our offensive blocking is often as good as a hologram. Yeah, sometimes. Although, hey, we between the two running backs, I think they combined for 18 carries for 107 yards, and I think they got Dylan once or twice. Not a horrible game. Let's see. Yeah, Stupid Refs, Random Fanatic. Welcome. Stupid Refs, it seems like they hate a good old Nebraska U. Yeah, and after the Illinois game, let me get a little for this rant. Little swig of Propel there. After the Illinois game, that's kind of where my cork popped, and I'm done. A lot of people are still hardwired. You just got to learn to overcome the refs. Quit complaining about the refs. They didn't cost you the game. And I have taken, in here you've heard my disgust for it now, and in articles it's as bad or worse, because I figured, well, if you're going to ref like that, then I'm just going to unload on you, and it's going to be kind of in the vein of Raging Guy in the Bar meets Hunter S. Thompson. I think I tweeted out that they were as low as beat slurping pigs during and that was after the first non-pass interference call that turned our what would probably been a touchdown into a field goal. None too happy with that, and and then had horrible things to say about them in the recap. And it's intentional. It's cathartic. And I don't say they cost us the game, because let's face it. They call that pass interference in the end zone. If they do call it, okay, we've got one more try closer, but we still haven't scored yet. It's not the NFL. We're not getting it on the one, but we'll be closer. And then we still have to score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, and go to overtime where we've been less than stellar. So, yeah, I'm not saying they cost us, but they just go on and they take the chance away. And I feel it at this point. I don't feel that, because the other thing is, hey, it all evens out at the end. Well, two things. It's constant. And when it's constant and it's not evening out, it's not even close to evening out, then you have to start going, it's intentional. And somebody asked the question, that begs the question, why? Okay, easy enough. When Big Ten is the worst of it, but you saw the ACC this year, you've seen the SEC try to protect those playoff bound teams, especially if you're talking about 4. But even with 12, now they want to make sure they're getting as many as possible, and I think you're seeing some ridiculous calls that back that up. The non-Nebraska game that sticks out in my mind was Michigan Illinois 2 years ago, when they still made the playoff, but wouldn't have had not just on their final drive laundry flew until they scored. It reminded me a lot of the Florida State final drive against Nebraska in the 93 season, 94 Orange Bowl, where just, we've got him stopped. Nope, there's a flag. Baron Miles ran out of bounds, hits the brakes, puts his arms up in their chest, bump a little. Whoa, there's a late hit, give him 15 more. And it just felt like, yeah, we really, really want Bobby Bowden to have this one. But yeah, what's going on to me, it's intentional. Do I have a reason for you? I do think it got worse after Frost's, after the 2020 COVID season, because the conference really seemed to be pissed when we went out to try to schedule an extra game, when apparently Wisconsin celebrated their first game by just going out and hitting the town, and half the team caught COVID. And we're like, well, that's bullshit. Let's go find a team. And we found one. It was UT Chattanooga. It's not really going to affect anything. It turned out their COVID standards were stronger than the Big Ten's. So there was just no reason to do it. But since we looked into it before asking Daddy's permission, it seemed like, boy, there's a big no-no. There's only 2 schools who are allowed to do things without asking Daddy's permission, and you aren't one of them. Is that it? I don't know. It feels like it started even before then, but yeah, I don't know what the deal is or why. It's not like the Greg Burks crew in the Big 12 that, for 3 games absolutely had it in for us, and it's statistically hard to argue. And now for people that go, hey, let's go back to the Big 12, he's the chief of officials in the Big 12 now, so the competition would be easier. I mean, look what Colorado's doing, and they're soft as daisies. So that really doesn't impress. The Big 12 really doesn't impress me. But you might find yourselves getting more of the same there. So be careful what you ask for. Let's see. See it, and I think I've got the quote in a picture here too. Let's see. David Matney, since Andy is a local, maybe you can make koozies for him. I vote for a silhouette of Andy drinking on a laptop, cursing. Well, maybe in front of a laptop. I don't drink on the laptop. And believe it or not, I haven't spilled on it either. That's the miracle. Let's see. One more thing. I want to read this because it's about the ERP series. Seriously, the ERP series covers global finance and national dependence on the Tombstone silver that was being heisted. J.P. Morgan got involved to prove to the Rothschilds the U.S. was solvent. Interesting. Very interesting. And I'm sure I didn't accidentally end up at Camp Kenosha. I did not. Jesus. I thankfully didn't have too many Camp Kenosha experiences, and by too many, none. Played sports, was in a fraternity. No. Let's see. Please don't ever say we got to stop on D in the same context as drag queen assless chaps discussion. Damn it, Aaron, I'll say that if I please. Especially now. We'll try to something up with your mic tonight, Andy. Well, let's see. Give me an answer down below. Is it just out, or is it jumping in and out? Because it's telling me it's fine, but if it is, if we're having put a note at the bottom and I'll check. Very tinny. Well, I don't know. It's I'm getting a clean deal, huh? Yeah. Really low. Okay. Let me tell you what. Let me do this. Everybody, hang tough for just a moment, and I'm gonna jump in and out and see if that cleans it up. So we'll go black, and I will be right back. Hold on. Okay, I am back. Let's see. Let me get my better camera going. Okay, any better? Let me know if that's any better. thanks, thanks, Justin. Night and day. Okay, better. Cool. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you very much for letting me know. I feel bad if I thought I was like sitting in a hole. So good. Sad as it is, I hear the refs in the Big 12 and ACC are worse than the B1G. But are they bad, or they just like have it in for the same team, or combined with defending the top teams? I gotta say, I would not doubt it whatsoever if I see Colorado's getting favorable stuff, because they have to know if they can sneak a second spot for a 2-loss Colorado team. I think of the 2-loss teams to pick from. Colorado's not one they'd reach for, but the one thing they're doing is flat out admitting, when it comes to picking the at-large teams, popularity and money will basically have as much, if not more, to do with it than whether they deserve to go. So lust for Dion could leave like an SEC 2-loss team. I'd just say, who are those right now? Alabama and Georgia. And just think if they bumped one of them out just so they could have like Dion slobbered all over. I don't think it'd be one of those two, but I'd like Ole Miss or somebody like that. I could see, no one nationally cares about Ole Miss, and we get to slobber over Dion. So interesting. And Fred, the person you're wondering if it is exactly what I was going to say. So I'll give you credit when we get to the Holgo deal. Let's see. I know it won't happen, but I'd like to play Big 12 teams again. I know that they've got like 9 conference games, and I think the SEC's going to, I believe they're going to go that route. And I thought it was just really idiotic of the Big 10 to go that route and while the SEC is going with 8. Because why are you upping the ante and making it a lot better shot to get a loss by having an extra conference game instead of another non-con walkover? Because I just kept waiting for that to kill somebody. But then it turned out they had the answer. It's like, as long as you're in line, you get in trouble against an Illinois or in Nebraska, we got your back, boys. Let's see. Well, let's tell you what. Everybody's talking about it. I was going to talk a little about the QBs first. Let's go ahead and talk about Holgo. He did his first press conference. Got interesting right away, because what did he say? Why'd you take the job? I was bored. And what it was he said back in December, when January, when Rule came after him to hit him up about it, he did say that he was just tired. It's like he'd just come off a full season, fired, was just worn out, and he just wasn't in a place to jump right back in the ring. Started sitting in on the TCU game as a consultant, or sitting in with TCU as a consultant, and they wanted him like on the field during games. And he said that was the worst part of it, is like, he goes, I can't stand being on the field and not helping with the game, which basically, he wouldn't do as a consultant. They've already got their offensive coordinator. And so he said he's just started he said he'd work with him in practice a few days a week, and then take the weekend off, because he said that was just something he didn't enjoy, being out there with no control over anything. And I think that's what happens, is you get a little time to have to yourself, and to be around a program where you're not pulling strings either as the head coach or the coordinator. And I've often said, I think some of these guys, maybe, Peter Principal, get to head coach. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. I think he had a winning record overall as head coach of West Virginia and Houston. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, you know what, I don't like all the bullshit of being the head coach. His thing was offensive genius type, and I'm just hoping that he comes back, wants to be just an offensive coordinator, wants to do it here, and hangs out and decides it's actually what he enjoys. You know what? And here's the thing: if it in 2 or 3 years springboards him to a head coach job, you know what that means is he did a good job. He did, and our offense was impressive here, where somebody higher up than us or willing to pay more than a lot more than us wanted him as a head coach again. So there's ups and downs to all of it. But anyway, let's see. I had a couple of shots here. Is this the one? Nope. Something else we'll talk about later. Yeah, here was the quote this was the one is on that got me. It was on his message, and a lot of us have been thinking that. I didn't think about it quite like this, but he said on some of his wide receivers and what he's seen of their blocking. And before that, he goes, "We've got these big wide receivers," and he goes, and then where it says there, "Why are you not blocking worth a crap on the perimeter? It's embarrassing." I mean, not holding back. And the other thing he said on that he trailed off after that was, he goes, I'm sending the message right now. If you've got guys who want looks, but if you're not going to block, you're not going to be out there to get looks, and we're not going to throw you the ball. So take a little pride in the blocking. And it did. And then he said he also identified a younger player in practice this week who can help. I mean, it wouldn't make him a genius, but yes, Malachi Coleman was the first name that popped up there. And that's where Fred had said, wonder if it's Malachi or maybe the other hot shit tight end. I can't think of his name. And that's the thing. If it is the guy from LSU, yeah, he did. He blew the ACL, got here, blew the ACL out and done for the year. Yeah, don't know that we've got any other like freshmen that maybe we're holding off. And then we've got, let's see, Pitt says Coleman and Carter would both be good to see. See, it could also be Carter Nelson. He was being used, and I don't know. I felt like he played in more than 4 games already. So in that case, I don't know why he's kind of been ghosted. Although, who knows what he's been doing practice? The coaches know, we don't. Loved calling out the other wide receivers for shit blocking, and that's the thing is Malachi last year was actually getting. I remember some kudos from the coaches about his blocking. That was one of the things they liked. And I kind of respect what Matt Rule is doing. It's like, we've got a lot of wide receivers, and he wants to try and save Malachi like an extra year, kind of being the man. But here's the deal. I know maybe maybe worried about upsetting the guys who are playing now, but the fact is, he can play. I mean, he could have played the last 2 games, the next 2 games. And if we won one of the next 2, he could play in the bowl game and still have that be considered his red shirt season. They probably wanted to red shirt him last year, but then we did have wide receivers going down. And so he was pressed into service during the year where they probably wanted to, like bulk him up, speed him up a little. So, yeah, at this point, I'd like to see how he looks. It's not like anybody else has really taken that over. So, who knows? And let's see what other comments we got there. Maybe I caught it. Let's see. Brascal, responding to Nebraska Rascal. He's like, he was talking Carter Nelson. Okay. Yeah, Markway redshirted for his injury. Yeah, not gonna see him. Then we were dealing with my mic. Okay, mic's good. Fred says, the only thing I hope for more than us getting to a bowl game is Dion not making it to the playoff. Yeah, please, God, don't let that happen. We got a dude in Tigers. Nice guy, but he's the weirdest. Well, it's not weird. It's just weird to hear it. He, wants Colorado games on me. And, he knows he's not getting it over Nebraska, but I think it's his daughter goes to Colorado, so he cheers for Colorado, loves Dion, but loves Nebraska. And I just want to ask him how are those wires not crossed? And I let him cheer for Colorado, whatever.
But then one time he's like, how can you not be this? I said, well, David, because I hated Colorado with a red hot passion for decades. When two of my hated teams play each other, I think I've told you guys this. People ask me, who do you want to win? And I say the terrorists or Al Qaeda, because at that point, just dirty bomb the whole mess. That Colorado Miami game. Take out the teams, take out their idiot coaches like McCartney and Dion, who I'll become a fan of again after he's left Colorado. I actually love the guy when he was with the Braves and the Atlanta Braves and the Falcons and playing baseball and football, and because I just heard all these stories about what a great like locker room guy and teammate he was. So I dug him. And as soon as Colorado hired him, I'm like, why do you do these things to me? It's like, it just sucks. And Dave's like, come on, you don't have to hate. And I'm like, oh, I do have to hate. Let's see. Yeah, I like that he called out no blocking wide receivers and running backs not seeing the whole field. I enjoy Rule. It's on me, but shit needs to be called out. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind him saying, here's the group. For me, I want that called out in the locker room. I don't really want to hear players being called out by the coaches as the reason they lost. That's what a good coach does. For old baseball fans, Earl Weaver, there were players from the Orioles. It was one of the, I think, Tom Boswell baseball books I read, like How Life Imitates the World Series or something like that. But they were saying, here's the secret to Earl Weaver, who was, I think, by far the winningest manager in baseball from something like 1965 to 1979. And they said, here's what Earl Weaver did. When the team was playing like shit, he would go right to the media. He would go to the writers. TV's not as big back then, but do any interview and take all the blame. It's not my fault. I had this guy in a spot he didn't belong in. I should have taken this pitcher out. I should have left that pitcher in. I should have warned him about these. Just all the blame was his when they were losing. And when they were winning, you never saw him. You just saw everybody fawning over the players, because that's what a good coach manager does, is takes all the blame when they lose to take the pressure off publicly. Hey, if you knew Earl Weaver, he was probably ripping him a new one, in the locker room, because some of his rants with umpires are just legendary. There's one with Bill Haller that's out there on YouTube, and it's just the funniest thing I've ever seen. He walks away, comes storming back about 4 or 5 times, and it's a home game, so each time he turns around to come back, you just hear the crowd roar, and I just remember the kid gets up saying, "Yeah, well, you know what you do every time? What's that, Earl? You just come here to fuck us." No, I don't, Earl. Yes, you do. You just try to fuck us every game. And it's just the stupidest argument, and it's so funny that Holler almost pokes him, or maybe barely pokes him in the chest, and Earl swats his hand away. He's like, "Don't hit me. You poked me." And they're just screaming, "No, you poked me. You hit me first." And it's like watching Big with Tom Hanks, where 2 little kids are in the adults' bodies and just having this screaming fight. But yeah, that's what Earl Weaver did. I think that's what Matt Rule tries to do. It might be a different story in the coach's room, in the locker room, but as far as the press is concerned, publicly, I'm the one to blame, and that'll get you loyalty from your guys. It won't get you out running the stairs, but at least you're not being humiliated in front of the millions and millions of the Rocks fans. Let's see. Let's see. If we keep Holgerson, will he be paid more than the 13th highest paid OC in college football? Hope so. Well, I'd expect you will see one of those salaries that will get mentioned a lot when things go wrong. There's $2.8 million a year getting shit down the toilet. Insert whoever you like there. Let's see. Yeah, I hate this age of clickbait media. This morning's headline, "Overreactions to Dylan's Guarantee," had me cringing. Reminded me of Tebow's heralded yet idiotic promise. And you see, it's like, what I took it as was confidence. I guess maybe I have to reread it. I thought it didn't say guarantee. I mean, it did say we're gonna get a win, and we're gonna go to a bowl. But it just felt like hey, confidence. I like that, and that's the next place we're going to go to is the shit. There were some people just shitting on Dylan Raiola, and let me lead into that, because I mean, he's a fat pussy. He's just lazy back there. It's like, wait, so actually having a quarterback for once that tries to go through the progressions and look to different receivers and just doesn't take off right away or force it in there. And he does sometimes, but that's another thing. But it's not every time. I mean, this is a guy that's not being lazy. And also the coaches have repeatedly said this guy's Matt Rule says this guy, I come in at like 5:30 and he's already in the gym. He's like the first guy there. He learns everybody's assignments in the offensive playbook. So if any questions in the huddle, he can answer. And let me show you the quote from Holgerson's press conference yesterday. He's a very, very bright young man. How is this kid a freshman? How can he process all this information as a freshman? He knows the plays. He knows the offense. He knows how to communicate. The rest of it was like communicate it to his teammates. And the other thing is talking to some of the other players at the Big Ten football media days is he very much won over the older guys. They respect him, and probably because he gives them a ton of respect back. And you notice, like, leading them out of the tunnel for games is this true freshman. I feel like if he's just this true freshman, looking up to everybody, going through the motions, doesn't want to stand on toes, he's not at the front of that line. And you're only really at the front of that line if your team wants you at the front of that line. I get it there, some coaches with their sons and stuff, it probably happens. But he's earned their respect. And I was just seeing this stuff. Well, he's a pussy. He slid too short. He needs to lower the head. And I'm like, dude, that's what he did last week. And I'm telling you that half a yard short. Yeah, and we all groaned. But my first thought was he's probably under very, very strict orders. You aren't have to lower your head anymore. Because I saw that one from the press box, and I'm looking down at it, and I'm just wanting to reach out and grab him and scream, don't do it. Because there were three guys coming in just to level him, and they did. He's not a little guy, but that looked painful from the stands because I think he did like a tenth of a second. Am I doing this? And he's like, I want to win this game. I'm doing this. So the guy's calling him a pussy for not doing again exactly what he did the week before and got hurt. And if you think because he's talking about all these quarterbacks that lowered their head to do this or that. I'm like, yeah, well, let's see. The ones that I think you mentioned, one of them got hurt. The other, two of the others were just strictly running quarterbacks. And even then, they don't. Remember last year that happened very fast with Harburg. He was really beat up after his first start and said so. And then he ran hard again his second start, and then it just got all messed up because they were like slide, run out of bounds, and all of a sudden the thing is when you do have somebody coming at you, run your hardest, and it's going to hurt a lot less. Believe me, as a tall, skinny quarterback receiver, like really, really skinny at high school, I was getting just battered around until I finally just got mad one time, lowered the shoulder. No, it's not a story where I sent somebody flying. But we both kind of went flying, and I was like, wow, that doesn't hurt near as much. Yeah, when you meet speed with speed, it's not as bad as standing still and letting the train run over you. And Harburg started doing that, like not quite sliding, pulling up a little, and then really getting smoked. But anyway, let's see so that's kind of my theory on that. And then some were like trying to make it sound like oh my god, that drive Harburg led against UCLA at the end, it was amazing. And I'm like, it wasn't. I mean, I don't want to crap on Harburg. I love the guy, but he was 2 for 7, and when he relieved Raiola, he was 2 for 7 for 32 yards. He scrambled for the 1 first down, but then on another third down, he had room to run and just, instead of throwing it away, ran it out of bounds for a 3-yard loss. He threw one to Fedone too far inbounds, short of the first down. And I can't remember, we either had to burn a lot of time or call a timeout there. And then he heaved the one deep, but it wasn't quite time to do that. And he underthrew it and got our receiver clocked from behind. Not a missed call or anything, just the guy was going for the ball and our guy's standing and looking for it. And he just, boom, lays into him jumping up trying to get it. And so it wasn't a pretty thing. And some people are trying to, and I think there's a lot of people that just never liked that we were getting what they probably saw as a high school prima donna, went to different high schools, new buddies with Pat Mahomes and the trainer, all that kind of stuff, 5-star decommitted to schools. And won't go through all that, but I think some people had been loading their clips for any time it went bad to go, see, he's nothing special. Play Harburg, play our homegrown Nebraska guy. Okay, well, you had a full year of Harburg pretty much. What do you start? 9 games, 77 of 157, 49% completion rate, 6.2 yards per attempt, and 7 TDs, seven picks, 100 carries for 600 yards with sacks taken out of it. But he lost several fumbles too, so you have to add those. I think, what was it, like four or so? So you have to add those, and all of a sudden it's like, and I think he had a running touchdown or 2 running touchdowns. So he had a couple more touchdowns, but like 4 more fumbles, and so you've got a pretty bad touchdown to turnover rate there. And then Raiola so far, even with the past games, which haven't been great, but I feel that's more just because we're not getting they were throwing a lot of the screens. So all of a sudden he's getting 27 completions for like 190 yards, which is just NFL dump pass stuff. But he's still 203 of 310, 65.5% completion rate, 2,112 yards. And I think Harburg threw for like 790 or something like that. And then 11 TDs, 10 interceptions, 18 carries for 88 yards, obviously, pocket passer. And so he averaged like 4.9 yards a carry. But I just remember if you saw the spring game and you actually watched them throw, it's night and day. I think Harburg could do okay if pressed into it. But if you want your best chance to win, it's with Dillon at quarterback. And it was just weird that somebody was trying to put it on him. And one other thing that I've really been noticing, we're having a lot of trouble with separation. There was some of this last game that I was watching it, and I was going like, oh my God, here we go with the screens again. I went back and rewatched some of his passes. Of like, these aren't screens. This is him checking 3 or 4 receivers, and then fuck it, I got to dump it. And so that was just no one's getting open. And yeah, of his 27 completions, only 7 went for more than 10 yards. And the longest one was 29, which was a really nice pitching catch where he hit Emmett in stride, and then Emmett just blew by that safety that thought he was just going to, I guess, go push him out of bounds or something, and he just ran right by him. So I think you'll see more them trying to take more deep shots. I think they were trying, and we had trouble with guys getting open, and I'm like, well, maybe that is a reason to give Malachi and Carter Nelson another look. Those are 2 pretty fast guys. But anyway, let's go back to comments and see where we are. Yes, Sack, it don't matter what we pay Hold for the next 2 years. It only subtracts from what Houston owes him. Yeah, that's the thing is you'll find out how much, if Hold really enjoys it here, you'll find out how much he hates Houston, or how bitter that parting was. If he goes for, say, I'll do it for $400,000 a year, so that Houston still has to pay him like 14.4 million or whatever. Or I guess it's $5 million a year, something like that, or 4.5 million a year, according to James Boardman. Welcome, James. Next 2 years, so yeah, that might as well stick it to him. Yeah, there's Tiger Shark Diver in saying could be Malachi because he was emphasizing outside blocking. Yeah, and he was supposedly pretty good at that. Let's see. I think naming him OC would require us to pay him fair market value. Yeah, that's the thing that's going on in my head. I have no idea if there's some stipulation that you can't just pay the guy $5 so the place that fired him has to pick up the rest. There's probably something along those lines. I'm not sure how they would figure that out or how that would work. I'm sure it wouldn't surprise me if that's some stipulation of the contract on your firing. You get the money, but they can't just pay you $50 a week. Because what did they say we're paying him now? Like $67,000 a month, something like that. Anyway, we'll worry about that after the season. Yeah. TSD mentions Helgerson really acts like he doesn't give a damn about critics. You know what? I got the nice little bald spot, and I can get the hair on the side still grows long. I'm just thinking, 2 weeks isn't enough time to do it, but next year maybe get a Holgo mullet going and wear visors on game day and shit like that. And I don't know, if we still don't get to a bowl this year, I'm already not drinking shots until we become bowl eligible. So like I said, that could be a wonderful health benefit while not, being one of the wagon nannies. So maybe I'll get a Holgo cut for each season and then only cut it off when we become bowl eligible. I'll just make, I keep doing this. I'm going to have a Holgo cut. I'm never going to be drinking shots. I'm going to be having tattoos and, I had no eyebrows. I got to be careful this doesn't get out of hand. We got a top 10 coaching staff in the country, a shitload of talent. Brent Carlson, welcome, bud. Better get locked in and no more excuses. If we blow this game Saturday, ain't no way we will beat Iowa. God bless. Go Big Red. Here's the thing about the next 2 weeks. These are the biggest Jekyll and Hyde teams on our schedule. I mean, for a while I thought, hey, Wisconsin's turning it around, then get destroyed by Iowa, but then almost beat the number one team in the country. And Iowa's just like losing to Michigan State, blowing out Wisconsin, getting beat by UCLA. You don't know who the hell's showing up for Iowa. They're scoring they're scoring like feels like 30 points a game, and their offense is still dog shit. It's still yardage wise like 102nd in the country, but they're like 50th in the country in scoring. So these guys are all batshit too. I mean, I think we're 5-5. Wisconsin's 5-5. What's Iowa? Is Iowa still 5-4? I don't know, but yeah, you've got like the Midwestist, most psychologically damaged teams in the country right now. Now we win that by far because this is a decade, and those guys, not so much. Oh, good, more Colorado abuse. Fred, I've never rooted for CU, even when they played Notre Dame in that Orange Bowl 100 years ago when I was a kid. Yeah. Oh God, no. That's like one of the only times I cheered for Notre Dame. Yeah, the Phantom clip. Rocket Ismail would return that. Yeah, they had that was the year where they won a share of a national title by having 2 games literally given to them. First of all, they got the 5th down against Missouri, and then they get the Phantom clip when Ismail returns a punt for a 91-yard punt return for a touchdown to give them the lead with like a minute and a half left in a game where nobody's offense was worth a damn. So that would have done it. And yeah, so screw you again, Colorado. Go fuck yourselves. Let's see. Scroll down a little here. Call me soft as I'm getting older, but after beating CU's ass this year and not playing them again for a long time, I don't hate them as much as I did. I do, especially when you had Shadur. Well, you had Shadur like running off the field before the game was over. I was in the concussion protocol. No, you weren't, liar. And then it was just the most joyous thing was after I didn't hear who's the other Dion's other son, Shiloh. Going, y'all about to get whooped or something. Like it made it sound like they were just going to beat our ass physically. That some sort of smack talk there at the coin flip, and then Dowdell runs him over, breaks his forearm, and then he was out. He came back quicker than I thought. So I'm glad at least he didn't miss the whole season, because you don't really wish that on somebody. I know I said I wanted terrorists to blow him up, but being a little facetious there, of course. So I was kind of good. I was kind of happy it didn't like take his whole season out. But I loved Dowdell's quote afterwards when he said, well, here's the thing. I feel like I could have maybe tried to make a move around him because he was going down. But he goes, but I just wanted to put a hit on him. And he did. Let's see. Yeah, Pitt's night. I'm reserving judgment till next year. The wheels haven't entirely fallen off this year. That's a point I wanted to make. As much as this one hurt, I felt like I saw glimmers of hope in a few places. Like we ran the ball pretty well. because there were times where a couple of drives were Holgers. One of the good drives, Holgerson was just running with, Emmett, and we were cutting holes open. Now, the downside of that was they were running right up our gut a lot of the game. I warned people about Woody Marks, and I said, I think not so much Mayava, but Woody Marks is the guy we got to stop, and we didn't stop. He had a big day. And that's frustrating. I mean, that's the biggest day a running back's had on us this year, right? 146 yards, and like 18 carries, and I think he caught a few passes. Woody was as good as advertised. He impressed me, but no, it's like that was a worrisome spot for me, and that hurt you if you're a defense that prides yourself in containing run teams, and then you got one that found just shots up the gut. Pardon me, over and over again. And then that bastards they ran that option on us on the 4th and inches. I knew something funky was going to happen. I didn't think that Southern Cal had been running well enough on us up the gut that I just had a feeling we were going to see like the James Brown tight end flip or something like that. What did we get? Flow one way and then run the option the other way. Run the option on Nebraska. I know Lincoln Riley probably had a little smile at his face when it worked. And did it work? Yeah, 34 yards. That's why it felt like the James Brown Big 8 or Big 12 championship pass play. Yeah, Justin says if Holgerson stays, it's getting close, but we would need to make a couple of assistant coaching changes for me to say for sure it's a top 10. Now, one name I want to bring up, and I like the kid. I like the guy a lot. I defended him when we hired him, and I think he has a hell of a football mind. But Garrett McGuire, wide receivers coach, right now, two of our biggest problems on offense, I think, and I think more than the offensive line, because like I said, I think they're doing all right. Just because you can't push Ohio State around every time you want, it's not necessarily bad. I think they've been steadily improving, and I know 100% many people would disagree with me and want Donovan Raiola like thrown out of here. But I would say our two biggest problems right now aren't that like hell Raiola's throwing interceptions. I think he's trying to force things in there every now and then because one, wide receivers aren't getting open enough. That last year we had guys open in the middle, and then like Harburg would throw it 10 yards over their head on a line you could hang laundry on, and you've got a guy who has the touch and the arm strength to get those balls in there. If you've got a couple steps in the middle of the field, he's not afraid to do it. But they're not getting open. And then the other thing, as Holgerson said, all these screens are running, and Satterfield, maybe it's not so much that he's calling them, but he was just calling them over and over and over again when he knows they weren't working because our wide receivers aren't blocking. Now, some of it seems like, hey, if you're going to have one guy over there, you got to get more than one blocker on the three guys coming at him. So I think there might have been a little problem there with the actual play drawing itself. But yeah, there's not blocking there, and I'm glad Holgerson called it out and said, your asses better start blocking. And I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but let's just say if Malachi's in there, I can almost bet there was a conversation that Holgerson had pretty quick with Rule going, okay, this kid over here who's about 6'4", 215, 220, and looks like he's blocking the shit out of people in practice, and he's one of the fastest guys on the team. Tell me again why I can't use him. And he can play the games. I don't know if that injury he had, because I know he came dinged up into the season, and maybe they're just going, let's not take any chances. But it's November, and I believe in the long game, but I believe, I mean playing the long game with the program. But brother, I 100% believe that we need to go to a bowl game. I think it's crucial for recruiting. I'm not really worried about anybody we're necessarily going to lose. I love that who they announced, that was it Butler and who are coming back. I saw it and I forgot who the second one was. It was someone else I really wanted back. Buford, maybe Buford. But yeah, we just got the flip from Alabama, and when I saw that, I was in my mind going, what the hell's going on here? And I looked, do they have already a bunch of edge rushers and he's kind of being squeezed out? Or are we about to see another one pop in? Because this kid's like a top, 150 player. And I didn't see any other edge rushers in Alabama's class yet. And that's not exactly a position. You only need one of those guys. So, and I'm just hearing raves about him, and that Alabama's like, I'm sure some of their fans were doing the we didn't want it anyway, but a couple others are like, how the hell did we lose him to Nebraska? So I don't want that to go to risk if we roll another 5-7, after being 5-1. That's tough. Like I say, when my name's up there, the only thing that matters to me is the 6th win and bowl eligibility, and that's why that's all I want to hear from anybody about future prospects for the team. I don't want to hear about which bowl. I don't want to hear that, hey, we can still win 8 games. I just want to hear 6. I want 6 done. And now that we're 5-5, we can't win 8 games. First it was, we can win 9 and bowl on New Year's Day, and I'm like, we need to win 6 to bowl anywhere. Stop saying that shit. Last year it was every week was it. Here's how we can still win the Big Ten West and go to the title game. Let's win number 6 first and go to a bowl game, and then win the Big Ten West title. Yay! Anyway, let's see. Yeah, thank you, Pitt. The headline said guarantee. No, that he didn't pull a Mark Messier, or for those of you, Mark Messier when. Back in 1994, I'm a New York Rangers fan, and they were down 3-2 to the New Jersey Devils in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Messier guaranteed a win, and then I think went out and had a hat trick, and they won Game 6, won Game 7, went on to win the Stanley Cup in 7. Yeah, he didn't do that. He just said we are gonna win this week, and we're gonna go to a bowl game. But nothing like, and I proclaim from the mountain my personal guarantee that like Messier let everybody know I am guaranteeing this one, and then went out and backed it up. Agreed. From Fred to Justin, Holgerson has full reign if named OC for next year, as far as his offensive assistants. Yeah, that's one thing I'm pretty sure the head coach picks them all. But Holgo might want to go. Might want to be, I need something different out of the receivers. I need this or that. He might go, I'll take this job, but here's a couple guys I want to bring in. You never know. But I get the feeling they get along well enough that, that's stuff like that is just doing business for them, not contentious, and rule either okay or not. But he's already shown something that we haven't seen in a while. I will cut loose. I will cut a coach that I do not feel is getting it done. And wow, I mean that wasn't so much the Holgerson. That was stunner number 2. Stunner number 1 is I'm pulling the trigger on one of my guys. And to Sat's credit, sticking around to work with the tight ends the rest of the year, good for him. That takes a hell of a man to take a demotion like that and just say, hey, I want to do it for the boys. Because like I said, he could have fired him. And boom, here's your walking away money. So it's, he's not doing it to get a paycheck. He's basically working for a check that he could probably be getting to sit around the house. So good for him. Justin, they will always find a way to play with another person's words. And like I was talking about Dylan Raiola. Here's a kid who basically does everything right. And so when things were going good, the only thing they could say was, hey, the stupid Mahomes haircut. And I'm like, I've seen pictures of him as a younger kid. He's had that thing going forever. Besides that, Pat Mahomes stole it from Sideshow Bob, for you Simpsons fans. I mean, the first time I saw that, I'm like, that's the Sideshow Bob. It is absolutely the Sideshow Bob hairdo. So that's been around since the 90s, people. Pat Mahomes just ripped it off. And then, jumping up and down. And then they're like, hey, the 15's from Mahomes. And that's where our young freshman quarterback broke my heart for the first time. No, it's for Tim Tebow. Do not like Tim Tebow. Pick someone else. Come on, man. I was thinking, hey, I'm wearing it because Tommy Frazier wore 15. I thought that would be cool. But no, yeah. So no, it wasn't for Pat Mahomes. And now it's like, oh, he's fat, he's lazy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not fat, big. Look at Dad. That's the body that DNA gave him. And let me start. I wanted to show you guys. I got some more Steve Bruce pictures to show you from. He was out in our Corn Nation photographer. He was out in USC for that game. Got some good stuff. And I got a picture of Dylan standing next to Holgerson, or he did. I'm sorry, I got it. Yeah. Steve got a shot of this, and I thought I didn't know Holger. Well, let me just show you. Oh my God! And I sure called my offensive coordinator Mini Me. So good guy. Yeah, Rayola's a sneaky big kid. I first met him. I cover the women's softball for Nebraska as well. That is one of those sports I just got addicted to. There's a girl that plays for them who used to help coach in hockey, and she ended up being like one hell of a hockey goalie, but was also a fantastic softball pitcher. And her last year down in Lincoln, she won 20 something games for them, and was a team captain. And now she's a full-time assistant, but I hadn't seen her in 4 or 5 years. So, and they were playing the Big Ten tournament up at Michigan State. So I was like, good, I'm going to go for a road trip. I'm going to get credentials and cover that, and then say hi to Liv and her dad, Olivia Farrell. And did it, said hi, loved seeing them. And then I discovered one thing. These games are pretty exciting. It didn't used to be. It used to just, it feels like hitting's better now. And I think they moved the mound back a little. When I was in school, you had pitchers like Debbie Doom from UCLA who had finished the season with like an 0.18 ERA. Like assistant coach Lori Sipple is Rhonda Reel's assistant, and she, oh God, she still holds like Nebraska's records. I think she had a career ERA of like 0.55. You don't have like those half a run ERAs. You still have some. Like I think Jordy Ball had like a 0.97 and then a 1.02, something like that. Her first 2 years at Oklahoma. But there's way more scoring than there used to be. You have some pretty exciting finishes, and all that. I mean, I don't waste your whole night on softball. But anyway, God, I don't even know where the hell I was going with this. That's what got me covering football was, okay, now I'm feeling comfortable covering like a less fan crazy sport. But yeah, that was fun stuff. And I went to cover the regional. I went and covered the conference tournament again this last year. My daughter Mylie, who I was hoping would come in here tonight and talk about volleyball, will still be here for a little bit. If you get a chance, Mylie, and you're watching, she has to write a volleyball preview, so she was like going to try and squeeze me in. I wanted her to give an update. But anyway, that's kind of what got me going in it. Now, and in the first podcast I did was softball. We do about 45 minutes there. But anyway, there's a look where I originally had was the picture of Dylan up. And so let's see, too many tangents. Whoa, Andy, let's see, are we on? We'll do. I mean, this is one thing I did last year on John's show on Monday, and I don't know if he's going to do it again, and if not, we'll have Iowa hate. Our this podcast will just be Iowa hate night, and everybody can pretty much have free reign. There was one thing I said, hey, don't. They told me one year, and I won't repeat it, but hey, don't tweet anything like that again. Let's just say I compared the reffing to how to put this without being graphic. I compared the reffing to a certain type of sexual assault by Andre the Giant, and comparing horrible reffing to sexual assault by Andre the Giant has just been one of those things that makes me laugh. So anyway, keep it. Iowa Hate Week will. It doesn't have to all be a good taste, just no disgustingly descriptive taste, as I learned. Yeah, hard to look good at quarterback when the right wide receivers can't get open. And yeah, like I said, when I went back and watched a few plays there, I'm like, he just can't find anyone open. And the one that got picked, that was one I think. Did we get the fumble and then throw the interception right away? And it just looked like he was trying to do one of those I'm Keith Hernandez moments and fire one in there, and it didn't work out. But yeah, there was a lot of looking here, looking there, looking here. All right, Emmett, and 3-yard loss. if there's all these people in front, I'm like, dude, just throw it out of bounds. But it all starts because it feels like the guy who for a while was getting open the most once we hit the tougher teams was Fedone, but now they don't really seem to be hooking up either. So I don't know. Anyway, and I've said my piece about Garrett McGuire. I don't want to pick on him anymore. Yeah, Dylan just doesn't need. Yeah, that's a good point that Rogie made. Was you may want to not start even doing the pseudo guarantees just yet, because like I said, I think there's a certain part of the fan base that is just waiting, to just unload a pile of bullets on him the minute that things started going a little wrong. Let's see, do. And Pitt says he's got $5. Dylan has at least one off-season surgery. He had so far it's just been the back, and I think that was mostly spasms, and then he had the stinger and that one at Ohio State, and that went away. The only guy I remember being sure there was surgery in his future was Eric Crouch's senior year. And even then, like, he had the bad shoulder because wasn't it his junior year when they won 21-7, beat Texas in the Big 12 title game, I think, after losing to him earlier in the season when they had all the turnovers. And he maybe threw the ball 9 or 10 times because he could barely lift that right shoulder. And then I think he ended up leaving the Rams camp. And I actually had an idiot the other night who was just letting loose with some of that, talk radio call-in wisdom where, hey, here's my hot take, and hang up. And Eric Crouch, big pussy, he wasn't going to make the Rams, so he just faked hurt. And it's like, yeah, he faked hurt with surgery on both shoulders and his ankle, I think it was. And I'm just, because some call it the hot take. To me, I just thought that was one of the toughest guys that ever put on the pads for us. Not the toughest. Don't get me wrong. Here linebackers and all that, but one of the toughest, just for what he took. Carrying 20-25 times a game. It seemed like, he was like a running back and quarterback, and just the some of the beatings he took there, and just kept coming back for more. And then you found out just what the beatings amounted to. So yeah, then you see some of the stuff he's said and done in his post-playing career, and he seems like a really funny guy. Go back and watch the Husker helpline from about 10 years ago. It was a little bit he was in with like Johnny Rogers and Jim Rose and a couple other guys, and he was walking around with his Heisman and having people call in for psychiatric help. And I remember Johnny Rogers, and I don't know, this to me was just so Johnny Rogers. He goes, when we won two national championships, did Johnny Rogers give up? When Johnny Rogers won the Heisman, did Johnny Rogers give up? Hell no. And it was so intentionally and probably a bit unintentionally funny, but yeah. Let's see what we got here. Let's see some of these. So I hate sometimes I slide by because I realize that I'm seeing a great answer to the part of the conversation I missed. If we lose out, it will be Dana will be Rule's replacement, or Buffett will buy Rule out and go get Kiffin. I think if Frost got 5 and Riley got 3, I almost feel like as long as we're not going back to like 3-9 or something like that, if he can keep it even, move ahead a little, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that yet. I don't feel we're on the hot seat unless we're starting to roll to 5-7 next year. Then who knows? And before we say that Dana would be Rule's replacement, do we want Dana as a Rule's replacement? He seemed to be much more effective as only an offensive coordinator than as a head coach. So I don't know. That food for thought. Aaron Keene, welcome to being quarterback at Nebraska. It is what it is. Couldn't agree more. That ought to be a t-shirt. Yeah, so they've coached him to play safe almost to a fault. He could have still got that first down at USC. A 2-yard slide is just terrible. And I just think that was just a mental error there. I think it was a mental error compounded by you slide. So that it bothered me. It bothered me a little. It wasn't one of those things. It didn't bother me as much as it bothered some people but then those are the ones going, he's a weenie. Well, no, he did it last week. We need Harburg in there. Anyway, let's see. Go here. If Buffett was a Nebraska football diehard, we would have Texas money. See, that's the thing, is like when it comes to guys chucking money at the program, I feel like Buffett's in that air of he pays for buildings and stadiums, not coaches' buyouts. That's kind of beneath Buffett money. Who are there's the billionaires that basically fund the collective for free, that they pay all the operating costs, all the salaries, all the office, phones, computers, building, etc. That literally every cost is picked up by them, and all the money, every dollar donated, goes to the players. So there. My mic sucks. Turn up the volume. Is it going bad again? Okay, seems fine. Yeah, there's not much I can do about the volume going out. Just let me know if it goes to shit. HH Drive versus UCLA wasn't awesome, but he had a drop or two as well. At least everything he threw went fucking forward with some zip. Yet that's the thing though, Van, is if you need one without zip, and then under threw the deep one. It was fine. He got him to about the 45 or so. So it wasn't a complaint, but we're jumping on the guy that got him to the 45 and got some people kind of crapping on the guy that got them, down to the 19 and probably should have had another shot from like I don't know if it's half. I think it's still 15 there from the 5 or something. But anyway, oh, okay, better. David Matney, wouldn't it be nice if we could fix the team as easy as we fix the mic? Send me to Lincoln. I'll give it a shot. I'll see if I've got like a human reboot. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Andy, the problem with Rail right now, in my opinion, is that he looks like he has regressed and is underperforming. I would agree to that, but I also thought that the playbook kind of got shut on him against the better teams. That was one of my Satterfield complaints, is he was letting him go, but then he'd shut him down in the second half of every game. Like, that was a big complaint early in the season. UTEP, fine. That can be the game we play everybody. But then it was Colorado, 28-0 halftime. Good, we're done. And because in those games, he was getting like close to 200 yards by halftime in these games. And then they were just shutting him down. It's like, we might need to work on his passing and not just assume he's a finished product. Then we got to the bigger games, and he's putting up those lines like 27 of 39 for 190 yards, or like, I think he completed 23 passes against Ohio State for 150 yards. You just looked like those handoff quarterback. Those are like numbers from those handoff quarterbacks in the NFL in the 90s, when I wanted Madden football to be renamed Dump Pass 2002 or whatever. I felt like they regressed his play calling, or maybe that was also a case of our guys aren't getting open. So it could be going deeper than we think. I certainly hope he's not regressing. He just seems to be even keel. And like Satterfield said, because that was one of the first things Rule said was, holy crap, this kid remembers everything as soon as you tell him. And even his brother Dayton is trying to convince his parents. There's just a story I read that he thinks Dylan has a photographic memory just because of the way he just gobbles up playbooks. So I don't know. We'll see. Not ready to throw the white flag in on Dylan yet. And even then, if you look at his, like I said, his season stats, he's still completing 66% of his passes. We just need, and the touchdowns thing, you got to remember too that how long did we go without letting him try to throw a pass when we were inside the 10? That's when, hey, just line up and blast it at him. And I have a feeling like some of those touchdown numbers could at least be a little better. Let's see. Oh my God. Pitt Snipe, 100%. We were like, what are you? This is when Dowdell got in the field. The left, there were only players. There was a guy in the middle and guys on the left, and he fainted to the empty side of the field and went left into bodies. And it was still a nice run, but that's where I was like, that is that a touchdown? The thing is, the Dowdell, big guy, runs hard. You watch some of these plays. This is one athletic dude. There is more than one free shot Steve's gotten to him, 5 feet off the ground, hurdling, trying to hurdle a pile or something. And I can't see a guy who can jump like that and not have some speed to match with. If you got leaping ability, that speed usually comes with that. But he can't break away. Does Emmett Johnson still have our first or only breakaway TD run, like the 48-yarder against UTEP? That might be it. But yeah, we have trouble, and Rule has alluded to it, is we need that big play back. Because anytime you can get them into the second level, we want something broken here and there, and you saw that out of Woody from USC, Woody Marks. The wide receivers not getting separation. We're seeing this because competition has stepped up, or wide receivers regressing, lazy routes, etc. I think it became a problem when we started seeing good teams. I think we would have seen on a non-windy day a lot more. We would have seen a lot of passing yards on Rutgers. I thought we were getting separation from them, but that was a weird day. But yeah, Indiana and beyond, it's been a little better. And then UCLA, and we finally they blitzed us in the first half, and he wasn't getting time. And then in the second half, I think he threw for about 140, 50 yards, like 11 to 17, something like that, and was hitting some guys downfield. And that was a team that had been giving up 280 something yards a game passing. So yeah, I think the competition has stepped up a little. We'll find out. Oh yeah, that lazy ass tackle by Hill. I think I tweeted out he was looking for a flag to pull on that one. That wasn't a great look. Yeah, not too much to be said there. Aaron Keene, yeah, the table next to us at the sports bar had to put earmuffs on after that tackle attempt. Yep, the sports bar, that's a thing. I have kids of my own in their 20s now. But yeah, I don't like the people at the sports bar who are like, "What's your language, huh? Don't bring your kid into a sports bar." And when they come rolling in with like the infants after like 9:00 at night, you just want to go, "Hey, just make a rule about that." Oh yeah, like how Brett Carl said how Dana put our white outs on perimeter blocking on blast, rightfully so. And yeah, he's not wrong. He is not the first one to notice that, and that's again where I go. I mean, I don't know. Did we just have what? I guess would want Ron Brown back in the '90s been the wide receivers coach? Because obviously those guys blocked their ass off. I don't know if they got Milt Tenenber that worked with them from time to time. Does Donovan ever come and work with the wide receivers on blocking? Does Garrett McGuire have a deep knowledge of wide receiver blocking? Because he might have gotten some experience with that, when he was an assistant at Carolina. But just the things you wonder, why is that not working? Because and then he had you don't block, you ain't getting the ball thrown your way. yeah. Let's see. That's why I can't stand watching Dodell at times. There's so many long runs and TDs this season, but he'd rather run through a guy. And it's like, I don't think it's so much because he's trying to. I just don't know if he has the vision downfield. I mean, because when you get in that second level, it's not like you've suddenly got wide open field or anything. Besides the long run, sorry. But he just doesn't seem to be able to make a miss. And that's the place where you make one or two guys miss and you're gone. And let's just say we're still looking for that guy. Let's see. Holgerson looks like a scratch golfer and used car salesman hanging out at the 19th hole, and I'm happy with that. Yeah, the 66,667. That's the number I was thinking for the weekly Holgerson check. I just love that weekly. It's like I just picture Holgerson going by the business of, yo, got my check. like he's one of the last people not having it deposited, just electronically deposited. Let's see what we got here. Aaron, I'm having a hard time getting a read on how Andy feels about CU. Oh God, yeah. Well, I know you shouldn't laugh, but still remember the wrongest. I still feel like one of the wrongest banners in college football history was hung in memorial, and that was the whole Sal uneasy tragedy, and like not from the starting job for Hagen, gets the evangelical coach's daughter pregnant, and then becomes the hero of the team after he dies, and then there was that sign: Sal is dead, go Big Red. And, now some guys in my place, they enjoyed those those mushrooms that some people like to put in a little chaw for their effects. And we were playing Oklahoma on ABC, as we tended to do, the 2:30 game, and they managed to hang a banner over the visiting tunnel as they came out. So there on ABC was, I think, our fraternity letters. I don't remember if those were on there or not, but then the banner said "Boomer Shroomers," because these guys, when they were like enjoying their mushrooms for the mellow feeling it brought to them, what are you guys doing? Booming, just booming some shrooms. And so that became the Boomer Shroomer sign. We need to disassociate the term mullet. That's true. It's just more of like hippie. It's more hippie than mullet, much more. Yeah, he's rocking the Carlin. I like that. Well, let's just say, if that story doesn't take off the sugar coating for you, I don't know what will. That one was forgivable when Dowdell broke Shiloh. Fuck yes, and he scored a touchdown on the next play. Tiger. That's what we were talking about. He's being paid. So just multiply 667 times 52, and you'll have what would be the annual he's getting the equivalent of right now. Yeah, I saw this. Let's go full WWE with Holgo, because that definitely has a Hulk Hogan-ish look to it too. Just what you gonna do when Hulgomania and the Mullet Express run wild on you, brother? Yeah, Hogan rocked. Yeah, damn right, the Billy Graham Sr. Fuck yeah, that was what I remember. Every now and then, my parents would let me get one of the we're talking like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, probably 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Still living in North Carolina, and I'm assuming I whined enough, and they were in a good mood enough to where have a wrestling magazine, and I have the top 10. They were beautiful, man. Like Ring Magazine, love boxing, but also they had the top 10 rankings and the big 3 organizations, and just love checking out those rankings monthly. Good pervert. Let's see. Holgo lifts barbell weights and eats T-bone steaks. Here we go. I always wonder, where do these coaches live in a new city if they don't even know they'll be here in 4 months? They rent them a house or a condo or something, I'm sure. I think it was the UNO hockey coach, Dean Blaze, who'd won, I think, 4 or 5 national titles at North Dakota. Then we actually got him at UNO for a few years, and he did take us to our only Frozen Four. And he never did. He just came down and rented an apartment. Still had his house up in, I think, Fargo, North Dakota. But yeah, they put him up. That's part of their. They are housed very well. Yeah, the coach is getting confidence when they buy that house. I mean, that means they've got the probably the 3 to 5 year guarantee. Said Riley stayed at the Embassy Suites his entire time here. Who's that? Who is that guy? Who is the Utah St. Louis coach? Rick, big fat guy. Rick. Name is escaping me, and he's one of my favorite coaches. But wherever you hired him, he lived in a hotel. That's all. He just wanted, his only demand. All he needed was like the bed, computer, desk, and then TV, VCR, DVD player, so he could watch tape, watch film, and that's it. That was his life, was basketball. Rick Marr or something. Maybe somebody will pop it in down there. God, so I didn't know Riley did that. Doesn't surprise me. I have a feeling Riley had to know it wasn't going to last a long time, despite all the sprinkles. Yeah, James Boardman. Riley knew it was over before it began, just like we all did. That is the first time I ever actually blew my stack at a coach hiring. I knew Callahan was like our 4th or 5th choice, because word had leaked out about that disastrous hire. Who was the they were going after the one goof from Arkansas, and then they wanted like oh god, Dave Wanstead or somebody like that, and Callahan was down the list, and we're like, well, at least he coached in the NFL. And but no, that Mike Riley, I was like, it was like, wait, is that the guy? It's like they know this isn't the guy that won 9 games at Oregon. That was like, it's like that was one time, and then everybody thought that no, he took him to the Fiesta Bowl a couple times. No, that was Dennis. I'm just blanking on my name's name. The Miami coach who did that, coached there 4 years and took him to 4 bowl games, and then they brought Riley back and they got the same magic back, 4 or 5 wins a year. But no, yeah, Mike Riley, Jesus, I'm in a bad mood now, and I was in a worse mood. I think I said fuck out loud at work, and then and fortunately, it really didn't. Everybody just chose to ignore it, and then I went out in the parking lot and cussed. Okay. Great. No, they just said Rule did say from the get-go he was going to try and redshirt him. So that's why we haven't seen him. And he was coming off, I think, having some work done on one of his knees, if memory serves. So he just maybe decided, let's give this knee the whole season. I don't know. But he wasn't in any trouble. He just that was get-go, coming off an injury. Let's just save him for next year full time. Yeah, with Iceberg and that shit bag prez we had, I just can't hate on Riley. I felt one of the players, like speaking anonymously, said it best for me. I hated the hire. That doesn't mean I hated him personally. I just didn't want him coaching here. Very strongly didn't. And it was what one of the players said when they were talking to him after the firing is they said, this player said, everybody liked him fine. I just don't think too many of us respected him. And in the nutshell, there it was, because they said, it was basically guys would skip workouts, skip lifting. He didn't care. They said, if you're that kind of coach that wants to be loved, you have your guy on staff that does your dirty work, and he wouldn't even do that. So there's him. He's not enforcing anything. He's not having anybody else enforce anything. And he took us to such a physical low as a team that from what I heard, it was like when Frost and those guys came in, they were like, Jesus Christ. Because remember, they got yelled at because, oh, you shouldn't brag about had some puking out there. And I got the feeling it was the kind of thing where if you were in shape at all, there probably wouldn't have been a lot of you guys puking. And there were a few guys that probably needed to run off if they really thought that was going to keep going, and yet somehow magically winning would occur. And we got back in shape, and winning still hasn't occurred. God damn it. Okay. Yeah, these kids today have the broccoli cut hairdo. I like the Sideshow Bob better. I'm going to kill you, Bart Simpson. When he passed, I just love this one where he was writing a hate letter to Bart Simpson and writing it in blood, his finger cut open and leaking, and then he's like, ugh, and passes out, and then that other prisoner's like, dude, use a pen. But yeah, for Kelsey Grammer's Sideshow Bob, that voice inside that goofy looking guy and that haircut, that was just an amazing character. Let's see. Yeah, this must have been when I was barking. Damn it, Mylie. Good, I can tell her that the watchers are mad at you too. Adoption is still an option. No, I'm good, thanks. God, you get the little bastards out of the house. You love them still. Doesn't mean you want them moving back in. Let's see what else. Oh, getting warmed up for Iowa Hate Week. Can't give an Iowa cheerleader free reign. They'll turn around and bite you. That's right. Just feed them their carrots and keep them happy. Can't wait. Yeah, cool. Can't wait till Iowa disdain night. I got 100 lines already queued up. Yeah, save them, Fred. Save them. I think you were on when I was on last year on Iowa for Iowa Hate Week. Got back from making a drink, and by that I mean pouring more scotch. Did any of you ever watch the Larry Sanders Show? To me, it's just one of the like 2 or 3 funniest shows of all time. Gary Shandling as Larry Sanders is just like a late night talk show host who's really self-conscious about everything. And Rip Torn was his producer, and he's like, this old war veteran type who's just great at buttering up celebrities. And you're just looking lovely tonight, miss. But Larry's having a party, and then they're going, "Oh God, is Artie going to make those salty dogs again?" And they're like, "What the hell's that?" He goes, "It's just some awful salt and like vodka something drink, and it's horrible." And he gets drunk and starts pounding him down and trying to make everybody else drink him, and it's awful. And then you see the party, and there's Rip Torn walking around like, "Here, I took the liberty of making you a salty dog." And he's like, "Oh, I just shut up and drink it, you pussy." So yeah, if you haven't watched Larry Sanders, I highly recommend it. I actually have the box DVD set, but now I'm pretty sure you can just go on. It was a made for HBO series, so pretty sure you can just go on HBO, and it probably lasted 7 or 8 seasons. Like Jon Stewart is on it, and he is the young guy in like the later seasons that's coming in and guest hosting. And then like the last season is them trying to, push him out with Jon Stewart. Like David Letterman will come in and play himself on it. Like all of the celebrities are coming in playing themselves just hilariously. They had Warren Zevon on once, and then they're everything's backstage and in the offices, and Zevon's like, "Man, I just don't want to do goddamn fucking Werewolves of London. That's all anyone ever wants to hear, man. What do you want to play, good sir?" And it's like, I got this new song, The French Inhaler, which is pretty good. So how about that? Your wish is our command, sir. And so he goes out, play, and they would get an actual live audience, like it was a real talk show. And so it's cheering, and they'd actually do a show that would fit in, just in the show itself. So he plays the song. It's wonderful. The audience is cheering, and then so then Larry's like, that's just wonderful, Warren. Hey, could you do me a big favor? And what's that? He goes, Werewolves of London is just one of my favorites. Would you mind like staying for a second song? And you just see like Zevon at the piano go, "Fuck, sure, Larry, no problem." And starts banging in. Give it a look. I'm just saying, you won't be sorry. But yeah, that's what I think of as Artie was always drinking scotch and cussing people out, and it was wonderful. I was at that Big 12 title game in 1999, and the Texas fans got tired of me. Yeah, I heard the Texas fans also got tired of the family that used to own a certain restaurant in town, and gave them a little working over when somebody decided it was time to put hands on people. And from what I heard of the Nebraska people around there, that was a set of a few Nebraska fans that really deserved the getting a few teeth loosened for their troubles. Oh, let's see. Blaine Cole says, "This reminds me of a skit on In Living Color, Lowered Expectations." Thanks, Blaine. Okay, if we go 5-7 this year, the goodwill is gone. If we do it next year, then he's on the hot seat. And I do too. But here's the thing, man. Next year's schedule gets tougher, I think. I think it ramps up a little next year. This was really like last year's schedule was a great time to make a move, but it was year one. It was not a strong schedule. This year's toughened up a little, but then I think it ramps up. We've now had a few easy years after Frost got hit with those brutal years when he came in following Riley getting 3 really easy schedules and screwing those from behind. Let's see. Unconfirmed, a good one. Unconfirmed reports Blaine Cole said Buffett always bet the under during the Frost era. Jesus. Few more comments about Raiola. I'm just going by because I think we've pretty much gotten that all out there. Not really disagreeing or agreeing. Just say, let's see what else we got here. Because you know what? Take a break on the comments. Great comments tonight, by the way. I kind of like where I can roll down the comments and you guys find the talking points that I've got written down for the night every week. So I'm glad you guys are kind of on my wavelength there. One thing I wanted to show you was some of Steve's picks from USC. Not a bunch, but I picked a few out just for good photography purposes. Little shot of let me get that one off here. Hold on. Where are we? Bear with me just a moment, folks. Okay. Just freeing up the photos here. Okay, back to the photos. They're not. I showed you that when I just like that's where I was going with the softball story. Was I met Raiola at the softball game, and he's sneaky big. Like you see him standing around, and he does. He just kind of looks like a bit like kind of a big kid. And then I walk up to him, and he's an inch or two taller than me, a lot wider. I'm at this point, I'm about 6'1", 175, and it's just weird, seeing like just the big kid look. There's a shot, I believe that's Barney. Man, anybody else think Ja'Cory Barney's taken a few many big hits for a guy that small? Tough dude, man. He has gotten popped this year, and I think gotten right up every time. And I don't want him sliding, but I'd sure love if he could get that head down, get a little lower, and not take the brunt of some of these hits. It doesn't appear to be a problem so far, but I don't think it'll be great if that continues. There's big boy. There's a good look at just how freaking huge that Ty Robinson is going. Like that's if you notice, that's a nice shot because he had the fumble there. He had a couple in the sequence of Gabayar, if that's how you pronounce his name, picking it up. There's a picture. There's Dowdell, like just making a guy whiff on the dive tackle, jumping over him. There's Gabayar after he got the fumble and was celebrating, but he actually had a nice little like 3 or 4 picture sequence there. If you ever want to know what the trenches looks like, I have a feeling this is right before it went for 30-40 yards, but that's what the trenches look like, and that's a fantastic shot right there. I'll be finding a reason to use it this week. See, like I believe that is Sayre right before he blocks the kick. And then here, there I was saying like, here's Dylan, Dylan, the true freshman, leads this team out of the tunnel every game. And if there's a senior or whatever that doesn't want him, if there's seniors that don't think he's earned that, he's not going to be there. So people can say what they want. Let's just let this play out. I think Holgerson coming in is going to be a great thing for Dylan Raiola. You saw this on TV. Here's Steve just happened to be standing right there by the tunnel. But before the game, they showed on TV that Holgerson and Lincoln Riley walking out together. I guess like Rule, these guys have been friends and for years, so they were coming out chatting. I was like, wondering like if Lincoln Riley's like, hey, no praying on the logo next time. Now, a friend of mine, and I use this picture. Hey, it's a great shot. And I used this picture because a friend of mine sent me a text that had me laughing. And then I'm like, yeah, something to be said for it. And I wish I'd taken a picture of it because I wanted to get it word for word, but I'm pretty sure it was if Malcolm Hartzog was 6'1.5", he'd be one of the best players on the team. But unfortunately, he's 5'7" and he's just getting burned. And that's, God bless him. If he's out there, he's probably the best, 5'7" him's the best we got. But just gets the top ripped off on him. That one, I thought, it should have been a pick. And if he's 6'1", it's a pick. And I don't even think he's really extending his arms. And instead we get, one of the tip balls. And then there's looks like the Holgo and Dominic meeting Dominic. Oh, Dominic, big guy. But anyway, that's one thing. I mentioned in the article, I said you had the refs. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let me skip a few comments. Ron Brown on staff, like maybe give him a little extra time down there. Agree. I mean, I'm going to buzz through these. I might miss a few, but want to get to a couple more things here. And we're at an hour and a half. Not that I'm rushing out of here. Just want to make sure a couple of things get covered a little. Oh God, what grinds my gears is the people who have both a baby and a car seat. Like, why does your baby get a special seat? You're going to have an entitled child by 2 years old. Oh God. Let's see. My daughter's been getting my grand snipe into wrestling. The fees just keep adding up. If Miss Mylie Ketterson was here, we could have talked a little pro wrestling. I want to say it's like, in the 6th through 8th grade years, that became kind of a thing. Was Monday night, like I'd always have them every other Monday, and we'd go to dinner after school, just go over to my parents, stay for dinner, watch a movie or something. Well, WWE was on from like 8 to 10. and we'd usually get out of there by 8:30 or 9, and we'd have to get home because Mylie wanted to watch the wrestling. She just thought the wrestling was outstanding stuff, and that would have been 10 years ago, more than that actually, probably between 10 and 15 years ago. Oh, Fred Sacco, bless you. Rick Majerus. Yes, that was it. God, yeah, Rick Majerus got one of the great just characters in basketball. He was actually an older buddy of my high school coach, my senior. He came down, I believe it was from Milwaukee, and he would be interviewed every now and then whenever Majerus came to Omaha for anything. They'd get a hold of my old coach for quotes of stories about Majerus, since they kind of grew up together. Majerus, I guess, was the guy that organized all the local games. And then, and I actually entertained a conversation with him at one point about walking on to play basketball at Marquette. And I think I remember when they showed that campus from overhead, just right away, I'm like, my college desires don't include downtown Milwaukee. It just, now I think I did their program a favor by not accepting that offer. I ended up not playing it all in college, and I don't really regret it. It was the sport I was good at. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like the love of my life kind of sport, I guess. I didn't hate it. It was my main sport. It was the far and away the sport I was best at in high school. But even though I got kind of my ass broken, I always liked football more. Here's one. Mike Riley was a nice guy hire, because I of course hid in his office from Bo, and Bo scared him, and so he wanted to bring in the Tom Osborne attitude, and unfortunately he didn't bring the Tom Osborne knowledge of football or belief in smash mouth football that Osborne embraced. I of course told Riley that he could not force his players to lift in condition. Wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. Ass. All right, let's see. I knew we were toast was when DiNardo said on the B1G network, but this is the last Riley, when Riley's Husker practices were vintage Pac-12 practices. Let's see. Yeah, I assume you're talking about Larry Sanders. It holds up. It just, the humor of it was just unbelievable, because it could get so foul and hilarious, and amazing characters. All right, let's see. Dana Holgerson got back from Trader Vic's and his hair was perfect. Holgersons of Lincoln. All right, let's see. I'm just going to skip to the bottom here. Let's see. What do we got? Not pro wrestling, kids wrestling, USA wrestling. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, I see USA and I thought, hey, let's see. Monday Night Wars was a great time. Worked at UPS, got home to see part of Nitro or Raw and Monday Night Football. Then we'd catch the satellite, obviously the West Coast feeds, stay up writing papers and watching the shows. Honestly, I wonder if they ever tried Hartzog at running back. Yeah, he was a very good running back in Mississippi. It might not, if you want a guy that can maybe break him, that's might not be the worst. I get he's a little there, but you don't have to jump up and defend anyone as a running back. I'd be curious. I don't know if there's a frailty there. It looks like a lot of other little running backs I've seen. See, now you're going to have me thinking about this. So here's what I want to talk about. The refs. First of all, what were your guys' thoughts on that? Because everybody's showing the one at the end, and everybody forgot the one right before the halftime. And my contention is they don't just come in and it's, crap call after crap call all game long. The similarities to it is it's always just surgical. It's like, here's Nebraska moving. Hey, big play. Oh, let's call it back. Oh, nope, that's not a catch. It's just like 2 or 3 times a game, but it's every damn game, it feels like. I mean, unless they feel like Rutgers, and they're like, well, what went wrong in Rutgers? I'm like, there were 3 literal blatant targetings in Rutgers. I mean, worse than what we usually get called for there. And I remember the first one, boom, they show it on the screen, bang. Oh, you just couldn't put the helmet down and put it on his head any clearer. And they're like, there is no flag. There is no, so they went to the guy and told him to pick up the flag, obviously. And then the next two times, blatant targeting, and they overturn them both. And it was just maddening. It's like, okay, now it's getting dangerous. And teams have to be thinking, why not grab and pull on the jersey? Nebraska needs a touchdown. I've been watching their games. Maybe this is the time, if it looks like he's got it, screw it. I'm just going to yank on that jersey, and maybe they won't call it, and they didn't. And what was funny was prior to that, USC fans got Big Ten refed out of a couple of games. Or once again, won't say it's straight on that they still couldn't have found a way to win. Like was it entirely their fault? No, but you can make a case. And that was the Penn State game where they got off to a big lead, and then the laundry started to fly or not fly when needed. And then was it the Minnesota game? I thought there was another one. And then they were going, what the hell's with the refs in this conference? And we're like, I don't know. Maybe you did something to them too without us knowing it. Maybe you beat Wisconsin some year, and the Big Ten officials are still mad, or whoever gives them their bribe money is really pissed about that. I don't know. And then the other thing was, good God, it's like not only do you get those two calls, then you get like the three calls where three different times, boing, bing, bing, bang, bong, bong with the ball, like off his hands, off his chest, off his helmet, and back into his one arm. And then when one finally went bobbling around off their helmets, it doesn't come straight to Ja'Cory Barney like the other two or three came back. Because the last one was the one where it went bong, bing, bing, and it was like, it was what, 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 10, and that turns into the play that gets them the 4th and like half a yard that they run for 34 yards, instead of probably having to punt it away if it just does what it normally does and hits the ground. So, just like we're like, we need some of that stupid luck our way, at least even out the rotten luck. And nope, you don't get that either. So, I can't really put a conspiracy on that one. But yeah, those are two things where it just has to have you thinking, what the fuck? It's like, are we saving all this up for this, next 2 to 3 years of Dylan and Holgo, and the defense all comes together, and Tony White doesn't go anywhere, and then we start getting those 5 stars in, and then all the breaks go our way, and we win national titles, and we get the rest calling everything for us, and all the stupid bouncing balls go our way, and we go on this great run, and I'm good. I think we've evened up enough. I don't want this shit happening when I'm 93 and drooling. I want to be aware of it and be able to, creak, if not leap up and down a little. So there you go. That's all I want is let's have it been that I'm wrong and it really was just bad luck, and it's going to even out. And these are just going to be we're just going to feel like we're playing with house money. We're going to win so much at the college football casino. Am I right or am I right? Go ahead and abuse me after those. Let's see what we got here. But yeah, I just wanted to jump into that a little bit. All right, we're going into about 1:45. Let's roll through some of the rest of these comments, and then we'll have we'll pick our drunken feat of the night, or the thing from the 40 things every great drunk should do before he dies. Don't put the numbers up yet. We're still a little ways away from that. And then I might even add in a little wino wisdom. That can be amazing too. But here we go. It just feels like that's how the Huskers happy hour should roll. All right, let's see. The last thing, the Hartzog at running back. My source on Icor's fear of athlete abuse is Charlie McBride. Oh, interesting. Charlie's son Dave was in my house down in Lincoln. Really nice guy. Love Dave McBride. If any chance you're out there watching, listening, etc., good to see you. Dave was funny because Dave got to you probably saw a lot of him in what I'd say like 80s, at least throughout the 80s, because he was like I think he was always standing by Coach Osborne. I think he was just like keeping his cable clear or something like that. Just one of those thankless on-field jobs, but nepotism's a beautiful thing. And I think he ended up on the cover of that one Osborne book, and he really thought that was hilarious. That, hey, I just get to stand there and be on ABC and whatnot. But yeah, Dave, good guy. Glad you brought up Charlie. Yeah, Rule's known for all these position moves. Might be a thought. Matt Rule, Malcolm Hartzog, running back. Let's see. Pitt, good for the Grand Pitt. Wrestling is the Navy SEALs of junior high and high school sports. Yeah, believe me, we will be when we get to the summer and are killing our evenings there with the movie pod. You can bet at some point you're going to see wrestling movie Matthew Modine. I'm admittedly a little tired today. I got up at like 5 this morning. Usually I go back and take a little nap and just never did it. But Vision Quest will absolutely be doing, and which just to me is like, not that there's a few of them out there that have come out in the last few years. There was one shoot with Sam, what's his name? Good little movies. They just kind of have that low budget kind of lean to them, and Vision Quest is fantastic. I still listen to Lunatic Fringe sometimes to get fired up for Husker games. Outstanding. Let's see. Charlie's interview is still out there. He talked about sexy shitbag pushing John Perrell out of the way so he could show the DL what to do. Let's see. Okay, here with the ref. The missed calls versus us sucked. But to be fair, the refs seemed to just let both teams play fast and loose and didn't call stuff. Well, somebody did the stat where they said like the first 9 years in the Big Ten doesn't think holding exists, offensive holding. It's just grab. But they found something that they said in the first 9 years, they only called offensive holding on pass plays 3 times in the first 9 years the Huskers were in the Big Ten. I think in road games or something. I was like, man, I'd love to know how you compiled a stat like that, but I believe it. Last year just felt like I never saw Michigan in any game ever get holding called on them. Let's see. I like it, Zach. I wrestled from 6 years old too. Additionally, it's at Grand Island Northwest. They take their wrestling serious out there. Oh, good to know. Yeah, Darren Sproles, 5'6", 190. Well, and that's the thing is with Darren, and then our own little guy that escaped Nebraska, Division II. He said that he liked being short because he could kind of see through the offensive linemen, where people were, and then dart accordingly. Whereas they couldn't find him behind the line sometimes, and that was intentional. I do like that about those little guys, and just the quickness, and then just that strength down low. Oh God. Yeah, there was one before the half, and on the pass that Hill should have intercepted, but USC came in from out of bounds to make the catch. Yeah, I remember griping about that one. The Revs were raised in a middle-class family, something. We cared about our towns. No, they weren't. They were shat from they were shat from goats and grew up raised by demons. That's more like it. Let's see. Yeah, last season was the same way. It seems this season just flew by. Can't believe we only have 2 games to redeem ourselves. Yeah, after the first year of it, it's so weird. I felt like I was just watching Colorado like a week or 2 ago, and now just one more trip to the Husker press box, and I'm done for the year. You can't. That just hasn't computed. That it's over Saturday. I'm mulling going to Iowa, but I don't think I'm going to. I'd rather win or lose. If we get bowl, I'd rather be doing it with my people and not getting harassed by a bunch of surly dicks. Let's see. Yeah, Vision Quest. There we go. Vision Quest. Jim Cotta is a banger too. Well, I don't think we're doing Jim Cotta. You know what we are doing? Everything's a much better movie than Jim Cotta. Jim Cotta's fun, but it's fun for a few minutes and watching Kurt Thomas try to act. And then you've also got the one with Mitch Gaylord, like something USA. But you had Janet Jones also as a gymnast and wearing little gymnast outfits. So I prefer that one also to Jim Cotta than watching Kurt Thomas run around Jim Cotting people. But in my top 50 list, and I've got to start doing the movie articles because I kind of blew those off to get my feet wet with the pod. So I'll start those up again in the off season. But I think I had number 47 or 48 of my top 50 sports movies was Bloodsport. And that's just 100% entertaining. And it's got a future Oscar winner in it. And yeah, there's just so much wonderful going on in that movie. If we don't get Gleaming the Cube on the movie pod, so help me. I don't even know if that's it, is because that's not the one with Jack Black, is it? Because if we're doing a skateboard movie, we're doing the like rollerblade skateboard movie, whatever, where they also played street hockey and Jack Black was one of the side characters along with Seth Green. Let's see. What else we got? Oh, Dion was always avoiding contact, a real pussy. Yeah, but you would have taken him on here. He was the greatest cover corner of all time. His job wasn't taking out the running backs. His job was shutting down Jerry Jones and Michael Irvin. Yes, I live in Omaha. Lived in Omaha since about 77, 78, I believe we moved here. It's the fifth and maybe final place I live. I keep wanting to move to Durango, Colorado. God, I have fun down there. But yes, I do live in Omaha. Aaron Kane appreciated me calling him surly dicks. Woodhead was the Callahan generation. I thought he was past Callahan. I thought he was Pelini Riley, maybe. I'd have to look that up. Because he was just in the league still about three years ago, maybe. And yeah, yeah, and the thing is, they was like Nebraska missed on him. Like everybody missed on him. It's not like oh no, we wouldn't even give the visit. And I think Snyder offered him a gray shirt, maybe, but even then, that just sounded like that sounded like it was going to turn into a permanent walk on. Although probably wouldn't have. But I remember I went to see his senior year. They played Millard North in the semifinals, and for some reason, a couple of buddies asked me to go with them, and we saw just this wild night of rushing from Millard North's quarterback. I think they shut Woodhead down. It was Carney, and I think he got held to something like 9-10 yards on 14 carries, just never went anywhere. I mean, never had a chance. But this, was it John something quarterback? I'm going like, this guy's going to carry the ball 60 something times tonight. And I think we left like into the third quarter or something. It was getting obvious. I thought he was going to win. And he ended up carrying like 62 times for 310 yards. I mean, that's almost a beaut. McCardle? Does that sound right? Maybe somebody else remembers that. And I think he ended up as like a third string running back at UNO. But my God, it's like if you were watching that night, that's when you're not stopping to think who's got all the horses up front to open up holes, and Carney just didn't that night. But you didn't come away from that night going, that guy is gonna win the Harlan Hill and play in the NFL for the Patriots. Is just like, God, that poor guy can't even get out of the backfield before they're wrapping him up. Yeah, they didn't have trouble seeing over the line that game. Let's see. Code Red, not a sports movie, but it's Roddy Piper, Dice Clay, and Shannon Tweed. That sounds like something that was on Joe Bob's Drive-In Theater. I could probably be talked into Code Red. God, we're going on pit points tonight. And then finally, here's what they're good. Pit points are redeemable for a hug and a free oil check when redeemed with a handle of any liquor. So there you go. So we got to work on pit points are becoming a thing. And where are they becoming a thing? You bet. Right here on the Triple H. Woohoo! Let's get that back off. Let's see. Fred, I was 3 when Andy moved to Omaha. Yeah, well, Fred, it's been a wild ride. I always thought Woodhead would be very Burkhead-esque. Yeah, except for him being not Burkhead-sized. Because, yeah, Rex wasn't a little guy. What was Rex? 6'1", 215, something like that. Rex could throw a little weight around. Okay, good. Yeah, McCardle. That was it. 04 to 08. Okay, so okay, I take it back. That's I believe that's smack in the middle of Callahan. So, boom, yeah. And there's the spelling, John McCardle. Yep. Pitt, I'm going to try and watch that this week. I'm going to make a note. We're going to get off the air here in just a couple minutes. I do want to. I'd actually forgotten it last week and was trying to remember to ask you, and then didn't. But then I remembered it. So yes, yes, this was before 2005 when I played at Minnesota, but heard the name. Well, here's what Fred is enjoying tonight. I'd had nerve surgery, and chased my Vicodin with a bottle of Chianti and some fava beans. I saw Code Red, thought it was a fever dream, set record on VCR, woke up in the AM and saw the movie. It was real. Oh my God. I remember when I got my first VCR, I think I was like a fifth year senior, maybe fifth year senior in Lincoln. And I recorded as much as I could. Had the VHS on slow play, had 6 hours, 3 movies on like 4 different discs. So we had movies to watch when I went back to school after Christmas. And the one I remember we just really loved the shit out of was the one with Ruthless People with Danny DeVito and Bette Midler, Judge Reinhold. Was it Helen Slater? Was it not Helen? Was it Helen Slater? No, it wasn't Helen Slater because that was the first super girl or whatever. But anyway, and it's just absolutely hysterical. And Danny DeVito plays this guy who wants to murder his wife, and he's coming home, with the chloroform, and he can't find her, and she's got this poodle that pisses everywhere. So the next thing you see him is shaking the bottle with the rag and chasing the poodle around because he wants to kill the poodle. And he can't find her. And then he gets a call from Judge Reinhold and his wife, who are kidnappers and really bad ones. And they've kidnapped his wife and are demanding a ransom. And don't call the cops, don't call TV. And the very next thing, you just see sirens and TV cameras because he's just like basically he can't get them to kill her. They're really nice people. They just thought they'd threaten to kill her, get money. And just out of nowhere in the middle of this, because the police are hanging at his house all the time, waiting for was it Helen Slater? Okay, maybe it was. You're right. And he's on the phone. He's got cops at his house all the time, waiting to see if the kidnappers call. And the phone rings, and he answers the phone and goes, "Hello, Linda? No, she can't come to the phone right now because she's under my desk sucking my dick. Can I take a message? No." And he hangs up the phone and looks at the cop and goes, "God, I love wrong numbers." and the whole movie is just batshit nuts. So if you want another good 80s recommendation that's still funnier than shit today, Ruthless People won't disappoint. So let's see. Final. Okay, got Helen Slater confirmed. Watson, you got to put some capital letters in your handle. Somehow I overlook your comments. Doesn't hurt. I always notice Vince because his picture has some color in it, so it jumps out a little at me. But here we are. Oh, what did Boardman say? The Toxic Avenger was my 80s guilty pleasure. That's a fine guilty pleasure. And so for that, he is awarded a +10. There were boobies, and I could rent that at the Snack Shack. That almost takes you back to Clerks, doesn't it? I just always think of that. The guy in Clerks checking in all the porn movies or ordering all the porn movies while the mom's waiting there with her like 5-year-old daughter for a kid's flick. All right, so that brings us to, let me get it up, and then firing a number between 2 and 40, 2 and 40. If it's a repeat, we'll just go to the next number, pop it up there, and we will read you another of the 40 things that every good drunkard should do before he dies. 32, Justin Rogie. Let's see what we got at 32. There's really no bad ones here. This is interesting. Okay. Number 32, learn at least one traditional drinking song. Ethnically fractured and mixed as we are, we colonials have lost the art of the booze ballad. Watch a European football match on television, and the first thing you notice is the fans all know one hell of a lot of songs. All we Yanks can manage is the na 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 and chants of defense. Sure, we all know the words of Ring of Fire by rote, but what of the pub with no beer? My lip is on the cup and drunk last night, drunk the night before. Also, there's nothing like a table of drunks bellowing an unidentifiable song in unison to scare the bejesus out of the bar staff. What that reminds me of is when UNO was playing, because if they still do, I guess I haven't been to a game here in a couple of years, but they would play this one song when they were at the Civic and the place was just wall to wall, and it wasn't the band, it was just like this 4 or 5 of them, and I don't know, and they would just play the song, and if I'm remembering the words, it was something like in heaven there is no beer because we all drink it here, and when we run out of beer, our friends will be drinking all the beer. Just something like that, and they would sing it, and then you had the whole crowd singing along, and yeah, was it 3 or 4 stanzas long? No, it just rhymed a lot, and it was about drinking beer, and it was wonderful. So yeah, if you could even bring that back, what the hell? So there you go. It may not be as exciting as fighting the good fight or getting tossed from getting 86 from the bar, but yeah, I just like that. It's like just have the bar, make the bar staff a little nervous by bellowing a loud song, and I guarantee you get a table full of guys doing that, you will have the attention of the place and probably get a little round of applause if you can finish it off and you know the words. So anyway, yeah, Fred's like, that song that went skeet skeet motherfucker, does that count? Yeah, I know UNO plays at Baxter for the last several years, but I don't even remember really hearing it in there. Maybe it was between periods, and I was making my way through the crowd to see who was there. I knew said Spanish ladies. Wasn't that the one they sang in Jaws? Pitt said went all state with that one, worked well in the Navy a couple of years later. I mean, I'm assuming that's the one that Captain Quint starts seeing in Jaws. Wilbur Check Festival, sing all night. Well, there you go. 32. I've learned whiskey in the jar. Does that count? Hey, I don't know whiskey in the jar, but it all counts. Let's see. Tell you what, last light of the night is perfect. Aaron Kane. Sometimes I wonder what Andy's neighbors think based on the audio alone. I'll tell you what, in the summer, I wonder how my voice, because in the summer I got the windows open if it's a cool evening. And I know there's probably been a couple of nights that if people are out walking, they're like, what the fuck's going on in that house? So on that note, yeah, the windows are closed these days, so probably not too much. I'm going to go back. I'm going to work out while I watch the rest of Eurotrip. That's trust me, solid recommendation. And I will hopefully see all of y'all here next week. Hopefully in celebration, but always more than prepared to bitch and moan some more. That is the last of the Propel. And I'm down to 5% battery power. So even if I wanted to go longer, I'd say we're done. Thank you, everybody. Always appreciate it. Great comments tonight. Love the comments tonight. Keep the pit points going. I like that. I'll start now that I semi understand what's going on. I'll start calling a few of those out. And other than that, there's nothing really to do but play the little post game bar. And as always, let's get 6 and go big damn red. Go big red, everybody, and good night. Love seeing y'all.